Good morning. I am Macklin Williams, and I am the CEMDAS product manager here with ESC Spectrum. Been around 27 years, including the previous monitoring solutions company. So hopefully this will be beneficial, and just a quick recap with regards to what new items have been included in this new version. So next slide, please. So the topic of the outline, should say, as per the outline, sorry, we'll be going over the platform/technology, the feature update, as well as bugs. Next slide. With regards to the platform, this version does require .NET Framework 4.8 to be installed in order to, again, use this new version of CEMDAS 1.1.0. You could also upgrade to SQL Server Express 2022, which utilizes a secure password. And as of note, SQL Server Express 2012 has no longer supported by Microsoft as of July 2022. And so please note you can upgrade that as soon as possible. It'll still work with 2012. However, you're no longer getting any updates from Microsoft. The current operating system that we are implementing is under Windows 11. And Windows 10, for those that still have it, is being supported by Microsoft up until October 14th of next year, 2025. And final note, Windows 7 operating system is no longer being supported under the platform. So if you have that, that needs to be upgraded to Windows 11 preferred, but at a minimum, Windows 10. Next slide, please. This is a quick review of the release updates. So those are noted: summary email update, the about window display, the CEMDAS program icons have been updated. We have a log application of the heartbeat and CEMDAS backup history. Next slide, please. In the case of the summary emails update, when alarms are generated, they have when the alarms are generated from CEMDAS that have the same alarm type and timestamp, you'll see the list on the right-hand side as noted on a alarm report or in the alarm window of CEMDAS. If the customer has the capabilities of sending out emails in previous versions, if there are a listing of 15 alarms, you will get 15 emails. And what this new feature will do is it will summarize all 15 of those alarms into one email rather than getting 15 emails. Next slide, please. And this is an example of what that email will look like. So again, it's all based on the alarm with the same timestamp and the same alarm type would be summarized into one email rather than getting multiple emails. Next slide, please. The next update is associated with the About CEMDAS. And not only will it tell you the version of CEMDAS, but will now include the version of SQL Express that is running, the company name, plant name, as well as the number of sites that have been configured for that customer, thus giving us a bit more detail, especially when a company that is utilizing CEMDAS has multiple sites, multiple states, sometimes even across the street from each other, just to be able to clarify customer one versus customer two. Next screen, please. The other update, minus the typo, forgive me, is the icons associated with CEMDAS. Typically, when CEMDAS is running, you, the user, see the three icons down below They are noted by traditionally by a C, D, and a P. As per our new merger, we're utilizing the color scheme for ESC Spectrum. And now you'll note the CEMDAS is noted by the C with the lowercase or the smaller d within the window, and the other components are noted by the smaller blue background white letters for the DCE, the PPE, the recalc, and the exchange. Next slide, please. The next update is associated with the heartbeat, and this is associated indicating that the CEMDAS is still running, and the frequency can be modified. By default, it's doing an update once an hour, and this features for future review and diagnostics with regards to the operation of CEMDAS. Next screen, please. The backup of CEMDAS is a feature that you can set up to do automatically and or manually. And in the previous version, anytime an upgrade was implemented, that history of the backup was simply wiped out, and therefore it would start from scratch all over. So in this case, the file that contains that backup history will no longer be overwritten with regards to future upgrades, and therefore you won't have to go through and do a full backup the very first time you go through an installation. Next screen. This is a bug fix associated with the editing of calibration timing or configuration, i.e. your expected span 0, low, mid, or high as applicable settings. And so the potential problem is allowing the user to modify these while a calibration is currently in progress. And what that translates to more than not is the resetting of the counters while the calibration is in progress. And so therefore there's a potential where you will not end up actually recording the calibration because it didn't have enough samples at the end of that calibration to properly record it. So the purpose of this update is to not allow a user to do any changes while a calibration is currently in progress. Next screen, please. And what you'll see there, and forgot to highlight it in this screen, you will see that there is a calibration in progress notification, and basically noting that you can't or you're not allowed to make any changes while a calibration is in progress. And so once that message is acknowledged, the either edit calibration or edit configuration window will be closed out, just as a confirmation. You could always look and see what your settings are, but you're just not allowed to change them. So if you go to make any change, again, that small message window in the middle of this window will give an indication of a calibration is in progress, and therefore you cannot make any change at that time. Next screen, please. And that concludes the updates associated with CEMDAS 1.1. Are there any questions that anyone has at this time?
We do have a question. Over what period are alarms summarized, i.e. how long from the first alarm to the first email?
Generally, there's, off the top of my head, I believe it's a 3 to 4 second window just so that CEMDAS can properly summarize. And as an example, if NOx ppm fails a calibration, typically you will get all the parameters that are calculated off of NOx ppm. So for example, NOx pounds per MMBTU, NOx pounds per hour, NOx corrected to 3% O2, etc. down the list. those would all be the alarms that are generated at that time. Within that, again, 3 to 5 second window, you will then get a summary. And again, the intent is all of these alarms have the same alarm type. Again, in this case, based on a failed calibration on NOx ppm, and therefore, and also have the same timestamp, i.e., they all are based on that same one event, and it's just the ripple effect. So you would end up with just one summary email in about 5 seconds, notifying you of the following parameters have all this same alarm type at this same timestamp.
Perfect.
Hopefully that answers your question.
I am not seeing any additional questions, so I think we are good. Without further ado, I hope everyone has a great rest of their morning.
Thank you very much for hosting.